Welcome to Star Trek Sodium. This week I've dug up some facts about Star Trek Next Generation Season 4 classic, Final Mission. In this episode, we find Captain Picard and the young Wesley Crusher marooned on an unhospitable planet with Bilby, a roguish fellow who's hiding water from the thirsty Starfleet officers. Moods in the studio were at an all-time high as the cast and crew bid farewell at last to young Wesley Crusher. In real life, of course, the young actor was off to college. He had possibly applied to the greatest and most prestigious colleges in the country, assuming that his fame and cheeky demeanour would guarantee him a place. Having failed to gain a place at anywhere with any credibility, he allegedly ended up at Plumpton Agricultural College, where he would excel at a basic life skills course. Getting fed up with the sinks in the toilets being jammed up with used toilet paper, Rick Berman decided it was high time to discover who the bathroom bandit was. He apparently decided to shut himself in one of the cubicles, laying in wait for the vandal to make themselves known. As soon as Gates McSomething entered the ladies' restroom, she reportedly screamed at the top of her aging lungs. She had immediately recognized Berman's elaborate galoshes showing under the cubicle door. His plans scuppered for now. The producer begrudgingly had no alternative than to go back to work. Bird enthusiast Marina Citrus had been keeping free-range hens in her apartment on the Hollywood Hills so that she could get endless ethical eggs for her breakfasts and lunches. Reportedly, however, one day there had been an overabundance of eggs and she'd invited her co-stars from Star Trek over for an egg party one weekend. This all came to a head though when her landlord, Calrissian, wrote to her forbidding her from keeping birds at the property. Devastating news for such a young bird enthusiast. As Final Mission was being filmed on the day of the summer solstice, rumour has it that Riker actor Frakes was unable to be at the studio for most of the day as he had to observe the pagan rituals in a special commune on the Hollywood Hills. Fellow pagan Kurt Russell reportedly published a photo of the event, showing Fraker in a white robe with his arms aloft standing next to a fire. Unfortunately, all evidence of this was lost to the sands of time, and I'd wager a glove of superglue that the actor himself can't even remember it anymore. The genesis of the idea of the synopsis of the story for the episode of Final Mission came from the basic notion of access to water being prohibited to those who really need it. As you may know, in the Star Trek Studio 9 building, there was a water cooler next to the set of the bridge for the actors to use between filming important scenes, but Rick Berman possibly only let the main cast use it. Any guest actors or extras had to leave the building and go to catering or get water from the restrooms to drink. This apparently stemmed from Berman being annoyed when the water cooler bottle became empty at the end of each day. What an old grouch! The data robot actor, Spiner, was delighted to find that he wouldn't be in this Crucid episode for very much screen time at all, and so requested to makeup artist Michael Westmore that he not have so much makeup slathered all down his back this week to save time, to only have makeup on his cyber hands and robo face that would be facing the camera. Rick Berman, however, demanded that, as usual, Spiner would need to have the glittery makeup paint on his face and neck and hands and back, as per his contract that he'd signed all the way back in 1984. The appearance of fan favourite character Bilby in this Hensing episode really gave fans something to celebrate. Actor Nick Tate was actually the person who coined the popular Star Trek phrase, "burn the rough of space," which stood tall amongst other popular Star Trek phrases like "phasers to stun" and "live long and prosper." Actor Nick Tate would allegedly go on to also invent "May the 4th be with you," in reference, of course, to Star Wars Day on the 4th of May, as well as actually being the person who invented Star Wars Day itself in the first place. A science fiction legend, Nick Tate was possibly invited back to be in 2026's Starfleet Academy TV show, but for some reason he said he doesn't like to appear in dogshit shows, as he has some standards. For the role of the Bilby character, several interesting people were auditioned or applied for the role, including Robert Beltram, who was possibly told that he didn't have enough character or screen presence for the part, but if the producers ever needed a role filled for somebody with very little personality, they would let him know. Other actors to apply for the role include Marky Ramone, Lazarus Bede, Walter Koenig, Richard Pryor, and Michael J. Fox. The usually sedate Patrick Stewart was on set with a real bee in his bonnet during the production of Final Mission, the episode. He was sporting a frown that would put a Klingon to shame. Observers possibly heard Rick Berman take him aside and were shocked at the news that an altercation had taken place between Patrick Stewart and the Chief O'Brien actor, Meany. The two European actors had come to blows when the O'Brien man possibly accused Patrick of stealing an Irish first name. Patrick apparently replied, telling Colin Meany that his first name was beyond stupid, which led to them not speaking for 2 weeks, despite them living next door to each other. Even when Rick Berman told them to kiss and make up, they both scoffed at the soapy idea. Thanks ever so much for checking out these super interesting facts all about the episode Final Mission, which waves goodbye, thank goodness, to that stupid scamp Wesley Crusher. If you like these facts, please go ahead and tell me underneath and hit that like button and all that sort of usual stuff. I'll catch you next time. Please come back in the future for some more Star Trek facts from this great channel here. Ta-ra!